Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, March the 1st. It's a new month, beginning of March. Hopefully this new month can bring some better luck for me. I've been in a just really bad overall slump in DFS prize picks. It just hasn't been treating me well lately. The month of February, even January was not very good for me. I'm hoping that a new month can bring some better luck for me. Hopefully, these videos have still helped you guys, even though I personally have not been doing that well myself, DFS-wise. Hopefully these videos have still been beneficial, been helpful to you. As always, guys, I do appreciate all the support, appreciate all you guys tuning in every single day. We're going to go game by game, talk through each one of Tuesday's 6-game slate tonight. We're going to break down each one of these games, kind of give my early thoughts, what I do like, taking a first look at this slate on Monday night. And then as we do go through each game, we'll build out an early core. We'll talk about 5 players that specifically stand out to me on both DraftKings and on Yahoo. But before we get started with the breakdown, again, guys, please hit the like button down below. I always do appreciate the likes. If you are new to the channel here, make sure you click that subscribe button as well. We are on the road to 25,000 subscribers. Hopefully, we'll hit it within the next month or two. Maybe by the end of the NBA season, we'll be at 25,000 subscribers. If you're new, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's free. That way, when you log into YouTube, you'll see all my videos there. You won't have to search up my channel, search up my username. You can just find all my videos right on your homepage if you do subscribe. And lastly, if you guys want to check out Prize Picks is the sponsor of this video. You can actually sign up for Prize Picks and use code NOAH, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. Now, most of you probably already know, but Prize Picks is a player prop based DFS site, so you're just picking the over or the under on players' projections. It is very simple, very easy to use. You have to make at least 2 picks, but you can make up to 5 picks. You can win up to 10 extra money on Prize Picks. If you guys want to check them out, sign up and use code NOAH. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. And as always, later on Tuesday, usually late morning, early afternoon, I will be getting out a video specifically for Prize Picks. So if you actually do play on Prize Picks, I'll be talking about some of my favorite plays on Prize Picks for Tuesday's slate. That video will go up sometime on Tuesday, hopefully around like 11 or 12 Eastern. I'm trying to get those videos out, Monday through Friday, along with the DFS videos that you're watching right now. But yeah, guys, let's talk through Tuesday's slate. We're going to start off with the Detroit and Washington game. Start off on the Pistons side. So looking at the Pistons today, the Pistons are a team I never really get excited to roster. There's not a ton that really stands out from Detroit today. Detroit could be a little bit more shorthanded than they normally are. Hamidou Diallo is doubtful. Marvin Bagley's been out, I believe, the last 1 or 2 games, and he's questionable once again. Frank Jackson's been out for a while now. He's questionable again. I don't think those injuries are too impactful, but without Diallo, with him doubtful, maybe you see a few more minutes for guys like Sadiq Bey, Jeremy Grant. Matchup against the Wizards, I don't think it's like terrible or anything, so it wouldn't be surprising to see one of these Detroit guys do well. If I had to pick one, I think Jeremy Grant is 6,300 is my favorite just because of the price point, just because he's so much cheaper than Cade and, also coming in cheaper than Sadiq Bey. Jeremy Grant has not been great this season. He's definitely not been the really good point-per-minute player that he was last year. He hasn't been as productive. But still, if the game's close, he'll play big minutes. I don't hate the matchup either. 6,300 Jeremy Grant, probably my favorite play from this Detroit team. In general, though, I'm not super excited about the Pistons. They're not a team I really want to get a ton of exposure to, and normally that's the case, most nights. And then on the other side of this game with the Wizards, so, the Wizards, there's some guys you could go to here. Kyle Kuzma at the top. Obviously, Kuzma has been playing super well lately. You look at his last few games, 63 DraftKings points in that double overtime game against San Antonio. Last game against Cleveland, he played 39 minutes, had 62 DraftKings points, back-to-back 60-point games from Kyle Kuzma. It's not surprising to see him play really well. He's obviously got all the usage right now without Porzingis still, not available to play. No more Dinwiddie, Bradley Beal still out. Like Kuzma, this is basically his team right now, and he's been putting up big games. I think at 9,200, he's not like a standout play for me. He is still viable just because if this game's close, Kuzma will play, close to 40 minutes. He'll get a ton of usage. Detroit, I think, they're not like a bad matchup or anything. But the price tag on Kuzma just makes him like a secondary option for me. And then the rest of the Wizards, like Denny Avia and Raul Neto, KCP, never get excited to roster these guys. They're fine on a 6-game slate, shorter slate. I don't hate, going to guys like KCP or Neto for value, but in general, I'm not super excited about many Wizards. And just this game, I'm not really running to roster anyone here. Do want to mention Daniel Gafford just kind of as a value piece. He actually has been starting lately over Thomas Bryant. Now, his minutes have not been super high. Played 29 minutes in that double overtime game against San Antonio, and then last game played 24 minutes. My best guess is that Gafford and Bryant, somewhat split the center minutes. Maybe you see Gafford play a little bit more. If Gafford plays like 22, 24 minutes, I mean, at 3,600, he is definitely someone we can consider for value on the slate. Now, Gafford's minute ceiling, I don't think is very high. I think he does still have a pretty low minutes floor. It would not be surprising to see Gafford play like 18 minutes here, just because you never know how his minutes are going to go. But at 3,600, if he does get 24 minutes again, he's pretty likely to pay off this price tag because Gafford is a pretty good point per minute player. So if you're looking for a value play, I don't hate going to Daniel Gafford. Kuzma as a pay-up option, I think is still fine. And that's really it from the Wizards. So we can move on to the next game, Atlanta and Boston. Now looking at Atlanta here, not a team I really want to be loading up on just because it's a really, really tough matchup against Boston. Boston's been like one of the best defensive teams. I think they've actually been like the best defensive team this season. In terms of defensive rating, I mean, they got the second best defensive rating on the season, only behind the Warriors. So tough matchup here. Trae Young is a guy that even in a tough matchup can still put up a big game. These teams did just play about 2 weeks ago, and Trae Young did put up 55 Draftkings points in 37 minutes. Would I be surprised if Trae Young put up another 55, 60-point game? I wouldn't be surprised, but at 10K, I'm not really going out of my way to play Trae Young today in a tough spot. John Collins is doubtful once again, so he's not expected to play. Without John Collins, you should see more minutes for Clint Capella, more minutes for Gallo. Capella's minutes, they haven't been super, super high. Last game, he only played 18. Kind of was a blowout, but the game before that, 29. If Capella does play like 28, 30 minutes, which I think he probably does play here if the game stays close, he does have some upside still. I know he's not been nearly as good point per minute this year as he has been like in previous seasons. But if you get 30 minutes from Capella, they're probably going to need his size against this big Boston team. I don't hate going him as a mid-range center option. Gallo, I mean, he's been super inconsistent as a starter, but he's going to start and play around 30 minutes. If his shot's falling, he does offer some upside. We saw him play really well against Chicago. He was really bad last game against Toronto, just couldn't make a shot. If the minutes are going to be there, which they should be, I know the matchup's not great, but Gallo should play probably 30 to 32 minutes, and at 4,900, another fine value play, but there's not much I'm loving from Atlanta today. It's a tough matchup. This is just not a team I really want to be, loading up on in a tougher spot against the Celtics. And then on the other side of this game with the Celtics, much better matchup for them against Atlanta. Guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are always viable options. Now on this slate, do either one of them stand out as like studs I'm trying to prioritize? I don't think so. Normally when both Tatum and Brown are healthy, I don't really go out of my way to play either one, especially given where they're priced at. Tatum's almost 10K, Brown's almost 9K. They're both playable, but neither one stand out as priority plays for me. Robert Williams always offers a big ceiling. I think it's 7,200. He's another guy that's kind of priced where he should be, but his minutes have been really high. He should play low to mid 30s minutes if this game stays close. Don't mind him at 7,200. And that's really it from Boston. Like Marcus Smart, I never get excited to roster. Derek White off the bench at 6K. No thanks. Horford's almost 6K. I'm not really going to. I think Tatum and Brown are fine. I think Rob Williams is fine. That's probably it from the Celtics. So we can go ahead and move on to the next game, Brooklyn and Toronto. So this is a game where we have a little bit more interest, or at least I have a little bit more interest, mainly on the Toronto side, but we'll talk about Brooklyn first. So looking at Brooklyn, they're still going to be without KD and Ben Simmons, and it's a road game, so Kyrie Irving will not be able to play. Let me see. So Kyrie Irving's status, it's a road game, so he actually should be able to play. But I think Toronto has vaccine mandates. I don't think you can play in Toronto if you're not vaccinated. Right now, it looks like Irving is out. But this will be something to monitor. I'm guessing Kyrie won't play here. But we'll have to monitor this. It is a road game. He should be able to play in road games. It's home games that he can't play in. But I think because of the mandates in Toronto, he can't, or in Canada, he can't play in this game either. So I don't think Irving will be able to play. If he's not playing, then we know what we're going to get from guys like Seth Curry, Patty Mills. Now, these teams actually did play on Monday, and Brooklyn got blown out. So really everyone from Brooklyn was bad. Seth Curry, Patty Mills, all these guys did really bad on Monday. On the road in Toronto, back-to-back, having to travel to Toronto, I don't think anyone from Brooklyn, stands out today. This is not a team I'm super excited about. Seth Curry's price has gone up a little bit. Patty Mills is still cheap, but he's just been so inconsistent. Bruce Brown's minutes have still been pretty high, so 5,400 for Bruce Brown, I don't hate. Andre Drummond actually did get injured in Monday's game. He was able to play through the injury. It looked pretty bad. It was a non-contact injury, but ultimately he played through it. Again, it's a back-to-back, so like I guess there's some possibility that Drummond doesn't play today. If he doesn't play, that would definitely be a boost to LaMarcus Aldridge. I'd guess Aldridge would start in place of Drummond. If Drummond doesn't play, Aldridge would be a really good value. But in general, I'm not super excited about anyone on Brooklyn. I think the one guy though that does stand out as a solid play is James Johnson. So James Johnson was a guy that I had interest in for value on Monday's slate, especially with the lack of value that we had. And I think at 4,300, if he starts again, which he should, he probably plays 30 to 32 minutes if it's a close game. Now, obviously, they got blown out on Monday. James Johnson, I still think, was decent. I don't think he had like a great game or anything, but I think he finished with like 20 fantasy points or 15 fantasy points from James Johnson. He only played 18 minutes, but he did get into some early foul trouble. Again, it was a blowout. I think if today's game stays close, which hopefully it will, James Johnson should play 30, 32 minutes because that's what he's been playing as a starter. I think is a value option. James Johnson is someone that we can look to for 4,300. Probably my favorite play from Brooklyn in general, but we'll have to monitor some injuries here. It's a back-to-back, and at this point when it comes to teams on back-to-backs, you just never know who's going to play, who's not going to play. So we'll have to monitor the injury report for Brooklyn. And again, I don't know if Kyrie Irving's going to play or not. Right now, he's listed as out on Draftkings, but again, this is a game in Toronto, so I don't know. We'll have to monitor that. I don't think he'll be able to play. Because I think there's mandates in Toronto. But yeah, we'll just monitor all this news. Definitely Brooklyn's a team to keep an eye on. And then on the other side with Toronto, so obviously it's a back-to-back for Toronto as well. Again, these teams did play on Monday, except the game was in Brooklyn. Now they're traveling to Toronto. Fred VanVleet was questionable on Monday, ultimately did not wind up playing. So we'll have to monitor the status of Fred VanVleet. If he plays, at 8,500, I don't hate him on this slate. It's a really good matchup against Brooklyn. Brooklyn's been really, really bad defensively. I think they should continue to be a bad defensive team while KD's still out, while Ben Simmons is still out. So like VanVleet, I don't hate if he plays. If he does get ruled out, though, we kind of know where we want to go. It's Pascal Siakam, it's Gary Trent, it's Scotty Barnes. Now Siakam, he got off to a great start on Monday's game and then didn't do much after that. He had like 30 fantasy points after the first quarter, only finished with 34 fantasy points. Again, it wound up being a big-time blowout. Siakam, I'd be fine going back to if VanVleet's out again. Same with Gary Trent, same with Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes, we talked about in Monday's video as being a pretty good play regardless, because without OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes actually does see a big bump in usage. He's actually been way more productive on a point per minute basis this season without OG on the floor. I'm fine going to Scotty regardless, even if VanVleet plays. I think 6K Scotty Barnes is still someone we can look to, and I definitely like Scotty on Yahoo at $21. He had a really, really big game Monday. He basically had like the best game of the season. 28 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 steals, and a block from Scotty Barnes. 66 fantasy points. Now, Scotty Barnes has not shown a ton of upside this season. He's been pretty consistent, but we've rarely seen, big time like 50-plus point games from him. Well, obviously, he showed some upside Monday. Hopefully, he can keep that going for Tuesday's game. It's obviously the same matchup. I think this is a matchup that Scotty Barnes can definitely excel in again, like he did on Monday. And I would like him even more if VanVleet sits. I think even if VanVleet plays, though, we can still look to Scotty Barnes. The rest of, Toronto, like Siakam and Trent, those guys will be fine too, but I would obviously prefer that VanVleet be out before I go heavy on those guys. And then the value from Toronto, it's all going to depend on if VanVleet plays or not. We actually did see Malachi Flynn start in place of VanVleet, and Malachi Flynn's only 3,100. He would probably play pretty good minutes once again. He played good minutes on Monday's game, 33.5 minutes, 36 fantasy points. Malachi Flynn, if VanVleet winds up sitting, he would probably be one of the better value plays on the slate, assuming that he does wind up starting again. So definitely, this game in general, Toronto and Brooklyn, a game to keep an eye on. Both teams on a back-to-back. Going to have to watch the injury report for both teams. But there's definitely going to be a lot to like from Toronto if VanVleet does wind up sitting again like he did Monday. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next game, the Clippers and the Rockets. So looking at the Clippers today, these teams did just play in their last game, I do believe. Reggie Jackson played really well. The rest of the Clippers weren't super great outside of Zubac. It was basically Zubac and Reggie Jackson that played the best of really anyone. Reggie Jackson played 38 minutes, had 44 Draftkings points. The matchup is really good. Houston's been one of the worst defensive teams this season. They play super fast. I don't hate Reggie Jackson, but 8,200, you're really paying for him now. Man, Reggie Jackson's going to need to put up almost 50 Draftkings points to be worth this price tag. Now, does he have 50-point upside? He does. We've seen Reggie Jackson put up 50-point games. 48 against Dallas, had 49 against the Lakers. He's got upside. At 8,200, though, I think at this point, Reggie Jackson's nothing more than like a contrarian option for me. You're really paying for him now. I don't think he stands out as like a top play anymore. Terrence Mann is 6,200. I still do like a good amount. I don't think Terrence Mann will really get much ownership today. At this price point, where he's priced at, not a ton of people want to pay this price tag for Terrence Mann. He's not really going to project well at this salary, but his role is really good right now, especially without Kawhi, without PG, and without Norman Powell. We've seen Terrence Mann play big minutes. Now, last game, he only played 27 minutes, but he did get into foul trouble. He had 5 fouls in those 27 minutes. He barely played in the fourth quarter. He was on pace to play pretty big minutes had he not gotten into foul trouble. I think if this game stays close and Terrence Mann is not in foul trouble again, he probably plays like 34, 35, maybe 36 minutes. He's been productive on a point-per-minute basis. He's done well in this matchup. Obviously, it's facing Houston is one of the best matchups you can get. So I think 6,200 for Terrence Mann, like I'm fine going to him on this slate. I don't think he gets much ownership. He is much more affordable on Yahoo, so if you actually do play over there, $19 for Terrence Mann. I mean, he definitely stands out as one of the better shooting guard options on Yahoo today. I like him quite a bit. And then Zubac, he dominated in this matchup, had 50 DraftKings points, played 34 minutes. Zubac has been a super tough guy to predict this season. Some nights he'll play big minutes, some nights he'll play like 20 minutes. I mean, you just never know. He only played 18 minutes against the Lakers in their previous game before the Houston game. I mean, you would think he probably plays good minutes again, especially with how well he played last game in this same matchup. 6,100 though, like Zubac is priced to a point now where with how much volatility there is in his minutes, I think I'm fine getting off of him now that he's 6,100, just because there's no guarantee that he plays like 30 plus minutes again. Marcus Morris, he was a guy that I liked a good amount last slate in this same matchup, and he was really disappointing. But I think Morris's role is pretty secure right now. If the game stays close, he's going to play 30-plus minutes. He should take a good amount of shots. He should get plenty of opportunity. I know he was really bad last time out, but at 5,900, especially since the price did go down just a little bit, I don't hate going back to Marcus Morris. He should be pretty low owned given he busted last game. And that's probably it from the Clippers. I don't think there's anyone else I really want to play on this Clippers team. So we can move on to the other side of this game with Houston. So Houston, there's some important news to watch right now with Kevin Porter Jr., who is currently questionable. Kevin Porter Jr. was out last game, and we actually did see Dennis Schroeder start. Schroeder has started, I believe, the last few games that KPJ sat out, I should say. I know this game against the Clippers, obviously last game KPJ was out. I think this game against Phoenix, KPJ was out. Schroeder's been really good as a starter, and he's been playing big minutes in the games that he has started. I would think if KPJ sits again, we'll see Schroeder start, probably play 36, 38 minutes, and he's been a point-per-minute player this year. He almost had a triple-double last game in the same matchup. I think if Kevin Porter Jr. gets ruled out, Dennis Schroeder is going to be a very, very good play on both sides. He's still fairly affordable on both sides. If Kevin Porter Jr. plays, I think at 6K, KPJ is definitely underpriced. He's a guy that we normally see priced around the 7K range. Obviously, coming back from an injury, you never know how a guy's going to play. We'll have to see if there's a minutes limit or anything. But if KPJ's full go, I think it's a tournament play. At 6K, I don't have any issues going to him. We didn't really talk about Christian Wood. Christian Wood, he's just been super, super inconsistent. He's a tough guy to roster on a nightly basis. It seems like the guy either puts up 30 fantasy points or he puts up 50. There's no in between with Christian Wood. He's either crushing for you or he's killing your lineup. If you want to take a shot on him, I don't hate it, but not my favorite play by any means. I think, I'm really looking to the guards here. Specifically, Schroeder would be my favorite play from Houston if Kevin Porter Jr. gets ruled out. And then if Kevin Porter Jr. does sit, that's a little boost for Tate, a little boost for Jalen Green. At their price tags, I don't think either one would be standout plays, but they would at least become viable, if Kevin Porter does wind up sitting. And that's probably it from this game. I think that's really everything from Houston. So we can move on to the next game, Golden State and Minnesota. So looking at Golden State today, they're still without Draymond Green. They're still without Klay Thompson as well, who is going to be out again. So without Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, specifically Klay Thompson, we should see more minutes for guys like Gary Payton, Jordan Poole. Now, last slate, I was on Jordan Poole without Klay Thompson, with Klay Thompson out. And for some reason, Jordan Poole played 19 minutes. I really have no idea why. Jordan Poole, he's been playing, you can look at the game log. He's been playing 25, 26 minutes a night. Klay Thompson gets ruled out, and then he plays 19 minutes. I know he played pretty bad. He shot 0 for 7, but 19 minutes for Jordan Poole last game with Klay Thompson out. Very, very confusing. You would have to think Poole probably plays more here, even though he didn't last game. I think going back to Jordan Poole is still fine at 5,200. I think that price tag is still a little bit too cheap for him. We actually did see Gary Payton, though, get good run, and Gary Payton has been starting lately. It seems like Steve Kerr wants Gary Payton out there. I think he's a guy that can defend, and Steve Kerr has definitely been trying to up their defense, get their defense better. So 4,200 for Gary Payton. I think he starts again and plays 25, 28 minutes, and Gary Payton has been productive on a point per minute basis this year when he's gotten minutes. Now, he has been really prone to foul trouble. We've seen him get in foul trouble a lot so far. But in a good matchup against Minnesota in what should be a fast-paced game, two of the faster teams in the league, Minnesota right now, third in pace on the season. I definitely like this spot for Gary Payton, and I think without Klay Thompson, his minutes should be fairly secure. You're never going to feel great about anyone on the Warriors outside of like Steph and Wiggins, just because when it comes to Poole, Kuminga, Looney, Payton, you never know how many minutes these guys are going to play. I could see Payton getting minutes or getting some of his minutes taken away because they give more minutes to Damian Lee or they give more minutes to Moses Moody. I mean, you just never know what Steve Kerr's going to do. But I think without Klay Thompson, with Gary Payton solidified as a starter right now, for $4,200, I do like him as kind of a first-look value play. And he is very, very cheap on Yahoo. He's only $11 or $12 over there, close to minimum salary. I definitely think Gary Payton stands out as a pretty good value play on Yahoo as well. He's for sure my favorite play from the Warriors. But again, if you want to go back to Poole, I don't hate it. He should be much lower owned than he was last slate. I think Steph Curry is fine. I don't love Curry on this slate. I think I'd rather go to Luka. I think I'd rather go to LeBron. But Steph is always a viable option in a pretty good matchup against Minnesota, again, in what should be a fast-paced game. Steph has plenty of upside. Andrew Wiggins, I don't really ever play, but without Klay, I think there's a little bit more opportunity for Wiggins, a little bit more upside for him. He's a viable option, and that's really it from Golden State. Now, on the other side of this game with Minnesota, Minnesota, they're also on a back-to-back, so keep an eye on their injury report, but everyone should be good to go here. Minnesota, they're a tough team to really prioritize when they're fully healthy, which is the case right now. I mean, they don't really have anyone on the injury report. So Cat, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, if you're going to play anyone from the Timberwolves, it's going to be probably one of these three guys. Again, it's just tough to go to these guys when they're all fully healthy. You never know which guy's going to have the big game. I think on Monday's game against Cleveland, I don't think really any of these guys did that great. Cat finished with 31 fantasy points. D'Angelo Russell finished with 36 fantasy points, and Anthony Edwards finished with 35 fantasy points. So none of these guys did that great in a game where they scored 127 points. So I don't know, man. I don't ever really go out of my way to play these Minnesota guys when they're fully healthy. I think the price tags on Russell and Edwards looks kind of solid. Again, it should be a fast-paced game. If the game does stay close, it wouldn't be surprising to see Ant do well or Russell do well. I want to say that last time they played the Warriors, Anthony Edwards went nuts. I think he had a massive, massive game if I remember correctly. Let me see. Yeah, last time they played the Warriors, he had 49 Draftkings points. I think they played again. He had a terrible game, and then they played a third time. What did he do the third game? Let's see. So yeah, very, very early on in the season, that's what I remember. It was early November. He had 67 Draftkings points, 48 points. So I don't know why, but Anthony Edwards does seem to play pretty well against Golden State. Again, I'm not super thrilled about many of these Minnesota guys, but Ant's fine, Russell's fine, Cat I'm not really interested in. I'd rather play so many other studs, Luka, LeBron, even Steph I'd rather go to. So really it's probably just Russell and Edwards here, and that's probably it for Minnesota. So yeah, we can go ahead and move on to the last game of the night, the late night hammer, the Mavs and the Lakers. So really good spot here for the Mavs going up against the Lakers team that's just been playing god-awful lately. Their defense has been really bad. They've still been playing at a pretty fast pace. I think it's a really, really good spot for Luka here. Luka's a guy that I haven't been playing lately. The last two slates, he's just kind of been mediocre. He obviously had that massive game against the Pelicans right before the break. But now he gets a really, really good matchup against the Lakers, who I don't think really have anyone to stop Luka. I mean, I don't know. They're going to put maybe Trevor Ariza, Stanley Johnson. They're probably going to double-team Luka a lot if I had to guess. Luka's a guy that can dominate in any matchup, no matter what kind of defensive assignment the Lakers are going to try and throw on Luka. He'll find a way to succeed, whether that means getting a ton of assists. We know he's always going to be around the rim to grab rebounds. He's got triple-double upside every night. It's a fantastic matchup. I think Luka is the top stud on the slate, and right now there's not a ton of standout value, but that could definitely change. If some of these questionable guys like Van Vliet wind up sitting, there's some teams on back-to-backs. We could maybe see some guys get ruled out on the back-to-back. I think Luka's a guy I want to try and fit in today if I can. $12K on DraftKings, really expensive. $56 on Yahoo, really expensive. But again, love the matchup. Luka offers a lot of upside here, and he's a guy that I definitely like at first look on this slate. And then the rest of Dallas, Jalen Brunson is 6,500. I don't hate just because it is such a good matchup. He's not been great lately, but going up against the Lakers, wouldn't be surprising to see Jalen Brunson have a big game here. He's going to play big minutes. He's obviously going to cede usage to Luka. We know Luka's going to dominate the usage on this team, but there's still some opportunity for Jalen Brunson, and we know for the most part they will stagger Luka and Brunson's minutes, so Brunson will definitely get some time on the floor when Luka's on the bench. Brunson should be really, really productive in those minutes. But like Spencer Dinwiddie, DFS, Bullock, Kleber, none of these guys really stand out to me. I think it's Luka here. Brunson, obviously fine too, but Luka's the guy that really stands out from the Mavs. And then on the other side of this game with the Lakers, LeBron once again is questionable. He's been questionable for like every single game as of late. So, I'm expecting LeBron to play. If LeBron does play, I think at 11,200, he's probably my second favorite stud on this slate behind Luka. Right now, Luka's the guy I want to try and pay up for, but if we get like a crap ton of value that opens up, then, if I could definitely go if I could build LeBron Luka lineups, I probably would want to try and do that. LeBron's upside should be really, really high without Anthony Davis. I know, back-to-back games now that LeBron's kind of been mediocre without Anthony Davis, but without AD, there's just going to be more usage for LeBron. He's going to have to shoulder a massive workload. If the Lakers want to win any games, it's going to have to be because LeBron, puts up massive numbers. They don't really have a chance to beat anyone right now without LeBron putting up huge games. So I definitely think LeBron is a solid pay-up option. The rest of the Lakers, like Westbrook, Carmelo, I'm not big fans of. I think Carmelo should still have a nice role. Without Anthony Davis, the last two games he's played 28 and 30 minutes. He should continue to play, around 25 to 30 minutes off the bench. I think at 4,800, probably priced where he should be, but Carmelo is still viable. The guy that I do want to talk about, though, as a value option is Dwight Howard. So we have seen Dwight Howard start the last two games in place of AD, and he's played 26 and 22 minutes and has put up 44 and 21 DraftKings points. Now, obviously, he was really, really productive against the Clippers. Last game wasn't as productive against the Pelicans, but there's a couple things to look at. Last game, it was a blowout. I don't think he played at all in the fourth quarter, and I don't think he really played much in the second half in general. I know he played a lot of minutes in the first half. I think he was on pace to play over 30 minutes, and then he barely played in the second half and didn't play at all in the fourth quarter because of blowout. I want to say Dwight Howard, if that game stayed close, he probably would have played, 25, 26 minutes again. I think while Dwight is starting, he's going to play probably 25, 26 minutes a night. We know Dwight is a really, really good point-per-minute player. He can score. He can obviously grab a ton of rebounds. He can block shots. At 4,300, I still think that's a little bit too cheap for Dwight if he's going to play 25, 26, 27 minutes, which I think he will continue to play while he is starting. I don't think the minutes are secure by any means. We could definitely see the Lakers go small. They could play LeBron at the 5. They could play Carmelo at the 5. But while Dwight Howard is still a starter, he is someone that I do like as a value option while he's still somewhat cheap. 4,300 on DraftKings and still pretty cheap on Yahoo as well, $13 over there. I do like him as a kind of value center, first look option. He's someone I do like from this Lakers team for cheap. But that's really it from the Lakers, and that's it for these 6 games on Monday. So hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. I appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, click that like button down below. Click that subscribe button as well if you have not yet. And also go check out the sponsor of the video. Again, if you want to sign up for PrizePicks, they're the sponsor of this video. Use code NOAH when you sign up, and they will match your first deposit up to $100. When you do sign up with my promo code, you can take a look at PrizePicks board for Tuesday's games. You can make some picks for yourself, potentially win up to 10 extra money. Just make sure to sign up, or when you do sign up, use code NOAH. And also, if you guys want some of my favorite plays on PrizePicks, I do give those out on YouTube for free in my YouTube video, but I also do have more stuff available on Patreon. So if you want more of my favorite plays on PrizePicks, along with all of my other updated DFS content, you want to get in our Discord chat, that is all available for Patreon members. If you want to become a Patreon member, check the link in the description, link down below. You can check everything I have to offer over on Patreon. But yeah, guys, best of luck tonight. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you did enjoy. We will see you in the next one. Peace.